This presentation is aimed at promoting the argument that successful teachers are often those teachers who have got the ability to simply present complex ideas in the classroom. So in other words, most successful teachers are those teachers whose teaching is like an art of simplifying complexities for their students. So with this contention, let us first have a look at some inspiring quotes related to the concept of simplicity or the utility of simplicity generally in life and also in teaching. So the first one is by Leonardo da Vinci, who says simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. The other one is by Henry David Thoreau, who argues that our life is frittered away by detail. Simplify, simplify. Especially detail that is generally irrelevant in many teaching situations. Then Albert Einstein is, this quote is attributed to Albert Einstein, who says that genius is making complex ideas simple, not simple ideas complex. And lastly, a good teacher is a master of simplification and an enemy of simplism, which actually means reducing complex ideas to simpler forms in order for the students to understand those, and not to the simplism, which is actually a kind of a reflection of our lack of understanding of certain ideas. So these are some useful quotes related to the importance of simplicity generally in life and in the process of education or teaching. Now, the how of simplicity in teaching. In other words, how can actually successful teachers bring in simplicity into their teaching? So the first thing is that in order for us as teachers to present ideas in simpler and understandable form in the classroom, what we need to do is to read a lot related to the topic that we are going to teach in the class. We also need to have experience, to experience the things that we are going to teach in the class, to observe carefully, to watch, and most importantly, to experiment with things before we teach those things in the class. So in other words, learn before you teach is something that is expected of teachers who can simplify things in the class. Then the other important thing that teachers who can simplify things in the class is these teachers are able to reflect on their experiences, to think about their experiences, to think about what they read, to think about their observations, and also to think about the experiments that they make, to analyze those experiences and observations and the knowledge that they get through their reading, and then to write and summarize those experiences and observations and knowledge, and lastly, to discuss those ideas with others, perhaps with peers or with other teachers before they go and teach those things in the class. The next thing is the authentication of their knowledge that they're going to disseminate in the class, to verify their sources of knowledge, and also to make use of multiple sources of knowledge that they are going to teach in the class. After this, the next thing is, before they go and teach in the class, they need to plan and prepare. Again, planning and preparation is important for preparing teachers on lines where they can simplify concepts and where they can cleanly and clearly present those concepts in the class. And most importantly, before the teaching, such teachers or successful teachers who can simplify things need to have their students pre-read whatever they are going to teach in their next classes. So pre-reading so making students pre-read that will help the students have the previous, the basic knowledge related to the subject, and they already have an opportunity to reflect on whatever they are going to be taught in the next class. So pre-reading by students is an important step in this direction. Then during the teaching, the teachers who can present things successfully and in simpler ways, one of the important things is that the teachers need to describe the objectives of the lesson or the session clearly in the beginning of the class. Secondly, the teachers need to have a look at, to check students' previous knowledge and understanding, so that they can begin from where from the base line of the knowledge of their students. So, and this can be done by asking preliminary questions from students related to their background knowledge. Then another important thing that can make the process of teaching simplified, or where teaching is a simpler process of the transformation or transmission of knowledge, is frequent use of analogies and metaphors. In other words, exemplifying the concepts that the teachers are teaching, visualizing using, for example, drawings and models and charts and other such things. So visualization is an extremely important thing that simplifies and relates the teaching material to the real life of the students. So giving real life examples is an important process of simplifying the process of teaching. Discussion, reflection, interaction, frequent interaction with the students, the student-teacher interaction and the student-student interaction is extremely important in simplifying the process of teaching. Narratives and stories are important ways of simplifying and elaborating the process of teaching, concretizing the experiences and observations of the students. Then varying teaching style and teaching method is also extremely important. Using analysis and synthesis, which actually means breaking down complex ideas into simpler parts and then combining those parts into the whole. So the breaking down of complex ideas into simpler forms and then combining that also helps in simplifying and better understanding of the students. Lastly, inviting students to reflect and to relate the subject matter to their real life through questioning, and also encouraging students to question and to challenge the teacher's views or the teacher's stance on the ideas that they are teaching there in the class. Also, use of humor is quite important, and in many ways this breaks down the process of the monotony in the class and simplifies and ease down the atmosphere, the academic atmosphere in the class. That is very important. And the very last thing that makes the process of teaching effective and that brings in simplicity into the process of teaching is frequent summarizing at the various sections of the class and also making an overall conclusion. So keeping in view some of these important steps, it is important for the teachers when they're teaching complex ideas that they should have a deeper knowledge of the subject matter, but at the same time their presentation should be simpler, and this simplicity of the presentation of teaching should come out of their complex understanding of the concept themselves. So we can say that the teacher simplicity should not come out of you can say lack of understanding of the subject, but a very sophisticated and complex understanding of the subject. And so we can say that this type of simplicity in the teaching is actually a result of the highly complex understanding, or you can say it's a very complex simplicity that is actually expected of teachers in order to make their teaching more effective and lively and understandable for the students.